For Shido, speed often came in handy. Whether it was cooking, cleaning, getting done an assignment, he had even picked up on learning how to speed read. And he found that he could retain information a lot better than he once could before. As such, his grades improved tremendously. What could take hours only took mere minutes, maybe even seconds at most. Shido found himself being on top of his game, not just as a student, but also as a hero. And as such, people were relying on him more and more. Not just Toka and the other spirits, no, but just everyone in general. None more so than his school, as he was being made the committee leader for the upcoming Joint Cultural Festival. A culture festival that would see the joint efforts of 10 high schools in their area. And Shido was in charge of making sure that everything went off without a hitch. Now, of course, it wasn't like Shido liked all of this responsibility. In fact, you could say that if it weren't for his powers, he'd absolutely loathe the idea. Being the head chief of the Joint Commission and looking over the culture festival, all the paperwork, all the lifting, everything that went into it, it was a lot easier said than done. But even still, Shido was never one to turn down any responsibility that came to him. It just seemed to be a part of his nature, something that he couldn't avoid no matter what he did. But it was late one evening in particular, as Shido was making his way home after going grocery shopping and getting things ready for dinner. The spatial quake alarm would go off. Shido would instantly be contacted by Kotori, alerting him of the presence of yet another spirit. It had only been 2 months since he had to deal with the Yamai twins. So, safe to say, he was glad to have had some time off. But still, one could never know when a spirit was going to appear. As such, Shido would suit up before dashing off to the location for where the spatial quake was occurring. As he arrived, he found an empty concert hall. But he heard a voice. A voice that was truly mesmerizing, beautiful in every way. As he walked through the dark and dimly lit areas, he saw where it was coming from. There was a girl on stage with lavender hair, a dress that shined a shimmering yellow with the frails of white. The way the girl looked, it was as if she were glowing like the sun itself, her voice like that of an angel. Even for Shido, he was truly astounded, almost at a loss for words. Was this what it felt like to genuinely fall in love with someone? Love at first sight, you might say. Of course, Shido wasn't that shallow. It wasn't like he could just fall for any cute girl that came his way, but still, there was something about her. Something he couldn't quite figure out. But at the same time, he kind of liked it like that. Shido made sure to remain quiet, making sure not to be seen. The girl continued to sing her heart out as Shido got closer and closer to the stage, before eventually he would kick something over by accident. The girl would turn, asking who had caused that sound, hoping that whoever it was wasn't too shy. Shido still stayed in the shadows, but he spoke from a distance. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. I just heard your voice and, well, there's no need to be shy. Please, step out. I'd like to see you. Shido would take steps forward, the girl getting a chance to see the Scarlet Speedster. Her mood would instantly change. Even under the mask, she could see his body, his frame. So repugnant. And you choose to dress like a clown and step in my presence. Uh-huh. You men are all the same. Why are you even here? Get lost, maggot. Wait, why are you still speaking in my presence? I thought I told you. Scram. Before Shido even had a chance, the girl would launch a sonic attack right at him. Shido managed to dodge just in time, and the girl was taken aback by his power. With moves like that, are you a spirit? You're the first boy spirit I've ever met. Unless you're a human. What is it? A superpowered suit? Fast-paced shoes? Precognition? Perhaps that's your goal. It's nothing like that. I just came to... I don't think I gave you permission to speak. You're not making this easy. You should be grateful that I'm even allowing you to stand here. We're not getting anywhere like this. Look, I just came to... I don't care what you want. Be gone now. Before Shido even had a chance to rebuttal, the roof would cave in. Multiple DEM agents coming through. For Shido, he cursed under his breath. And for the DEM, and for their newest lieutenant, Jessica Bailey, she found two targets of interest. A spirit, known as Diva, and the Scarlet Speedster himself, the one being known as the Flash. Shido would move out of the way and escape, and as for the one known as Diva, well, she was more than capable of taking care of herself, and of fending off the AST and DEM alike. Safe to say, for Shido, he was going to have his work cut out for him the hard way. This girl, well, for all intents and purposes, seemed to be swinging for the other side. Hey, no one's judging. After all, this is a new day and age. But still, that would make the mission a lot more difficult, because unfortunately, they still had to figure out a way to seal this girl's power. After doing some research, they were able to get reconnaissance on the girl's name, her name being Miku Izuyoi. She was a popular idol who had grown in the last 6 months, and her music was starting to become world-renowned. Even more so, Shido still had to deal with the problem of trying to get close to this girl, although how he was going to do so, well, he wasn't entirely sure. All the same, Kotori would come up with one idea, and unfortunately for Shido, he wasn't going to like it, because you see, Shido was going to have to go undercover, and to go undercover, well, it meant that Shido was going to have to put the she in Shido. Going into undercover work, Shido would be dressed up, and he would go under a new name, Shiori. This was going to be a way for Shido to get closer to Miku, to see if he could use feminine charm in order to attract the spirit. In the end, all that mattered was sealing away her power. As long as he got that kiss, it didn't matter what he dressed like. Although for Shido, he definitely wished that things could have gone differently. I mean, it wasn't like he really wanted to do this. He really didn't. But he wasn't being left with much choice, or with any options. Once Shido was in disguise, he would be able to get closer to Miku. Miku taking much more of a friendlier, and even a much more kinder attitude towards him in this state. And kind and friendly was putting it mildly. No, the girl was acting like a predator on the prowl and looked at Shido like a fresh piece of meat. For Shido, it was kind of off-putting, to say the least. Well, not off-putting in the sense that he understood everyone had their own desires in some way, shape, fashion, or form, but it was more so in the fact that the girl's attitude could just be flipped that quickly. The fact that she could just act so kind and caring towards him, all because she thought that he was a girl. And even more so, the girl had a much more relaxed demeanor. But there was also something else. Something that Shido honestly didn't like. It was the way the girl treated everyone around her. The way she could just command them to do things. How dismissive she was of them. Whatever she said, the girls around her obeyed. It didn't take long for Shido to learn the truth, as Miku would reveal that she had the ability to charm anyone with her voice. No one could resist her. However, Shido was different. At first, Miku had suspicions, believing that Shido, or aka Shiori, was actually a spirit herself and was resisting her with power. However, Shido would reveal that that wasn't the case. She, or rather he, were nothing more but a human with the ability to seal spirit power, and that the reason for the visit was so that she could do the same for Miku, to offer her a chance to live a normal life. Of course, Miku wasn't going to submit herself so easily. So instead, she proposed a contest between both of their schools at the upcoming cultural festival. Whichever one performed the best between the two of them, then the loser would have to fulfill the winner's request. When it came to Shiori, or Shido, he would get the ability to seal away her power. But if Miku won, then she wanted Shiori and all the other spirits that had been sealed away so far, all of them to be under her control. Of course, Shido feared that he was going to lose this encounter, primarily because among all of the other different aspects of the cultural festival, there was the singing competition, something that Miku knew she would excel in, so she didn't think she'd stood a chance of losing. With that, Shido and friends would put their various acts together, as they would prepare for the upcoming school cultural festival. Of course, Shido still had his nerves. This was a situation where he couldn't just punch and kick or run his way out of. No, he was going to have to really put his best foot forward. But thankfully, he wasn't alone. For one, their school had come up with the idea of doing a maid cafe for the morning act, as well as putting together some students with musical qualities to put on their own musical performance. Did they think they'd be as good as Miku? Well, they weren't sure, but they wouldn't know until they tried at least. When the day of the cultural festival arrived, everyone had their nerves about them. For the average student, it was for a day of fun and relaxation, as well as enjoying many of the foods, the musics, and everything else that was being offered and put on display. However, for Shido and the others, they knew that the situation was a lot more dire than anyone else would let on. And even unbeknownst to them, the forces of DEM were making their move, because they had their own plans in mind. As the day went on, it would finally come time for the musical contest. Shido was being helped by the likes of Toka, by Kaguya and Yuzuru, and even a few other students, as unlikely as it might be, as they were all going to be putting on their own musical performance. Even more so, Shido was surprised to see that Toka would take the lead in singing. She too had a voice all of her own, one that Shido was truly surprised by, and all the same, one that truly captivated him. Miku would also go on to perform as well, performing solo, of course, as she was more than confident in her own capabilities. She knew that even on her own, she could beat out anyone or anything. So, she was fully confident in her skills and abilities. Eventually, the tallies would be made, and the final decisions would be in. As all the other schools were called out one by one, it came down to Miku and Shido's school, respectively. Only one of them could claim first place, and for Miku, she felt like she had it in the bag. Although she had to admit, for Shiori, for her school to get this far, it was truly impressive. But the story of the underdog ultimately ends in failure. Which is why, when Shiori, aka Shido, when their school was announced as the winner, well, it caught everyone off guard. But it wasn't hard to figure out why. Because you see, in order for your school to win at this culture festival, you get voted on for every category, for everything you take involved in. That means your food displays or your theme attractions and your musical performance. You get graded on all of it, not just one. Miku's folly, her downfall, was that she believed that her musical performance would be so great, so immaculate, that her school did not plan out anything else. No, Miku believed that on her own merit, whatever she did could outperform the combined efforts of every other school. And to a degree, she was right. I mean, just for one musical performance alone, she managed to get all the way in second place. However, it was the combined effort of Shido's school and classmates that allowed them to carry on the victory. For Miku, she was absolutely stunned. How could it be? How was something like this even possible? Shiori would explain. You didn't rely on your classmates, Miku. You tried to do everything by yourself, and in the end, it didn't get you what you wanted. It doesn't have to be this way, Miku. You keep trying to do everything on your own. You keep pushing away everyone and holding them at arm's length. But if you just allowed more people in, then maybe you wouldn't be so lonely. Like I have to hear those tired platitudes from the likes of you. Do you really think it changes anything, Shiori? Miku's voice would start to change. It changed into a melody that was able to captivate everyone that heard it, even Shido's friends in the crowd, the various spirit girls that were here in support. Even they were under Miku's control. The power of Gabriel at full display. It didn't matter, Shiori. It didn't matter if I won or lost. In the end, you never stood a chance against me. Because I am the one in control. I am the number one. I am the Music Meister. Music Meister Miku. That is my title. That is who I am. My voice can serenade the gods into submission. Why did you think that this would be any different? In the end, I always get what I want. And what I want is your complete and utter devotion. Before Shido even had a chance to escape, he would be grabbed by everyone around him as they held him in place. Of course, Shido could have broken free, but still, he didn't want to hurt anyone. As Miku got closer, touching all over his body, lower, 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 to the skirt. Something's not right here. Miku would touch again. That's strange. It's supposed to be smooth and round, but this feels like a, are you you? The hair quickly came off and Shido's secret was revealed. A boy? So, that was your play, huh? You were trying to toy with my emotions this whole time. What should I have expected? Nothing less. You men are all the same. Wait, Miku, I can explain. I don't want to hear it. Not from a filthy, lowly, dirty, despicable maggot like you. How dare you? How dare you try to play with my emotions like this? You get me all riled up. You had me excited. You had me actually believe. But this is what you wanted. This is what you've always wanted. Isn't it? To mess around with me like this? I bet that whole thing about sealing my power, I bet that was a lie too. Wait, it wasn't. Please, you have to believe. I don't have to believe a damn thing you say. No, I used to believe. I believed once a long time ago. And because of that, I was betrayed and hurt. And I won't let that happen to me again. Never again. I will never give up control. I will never yield. I will never submit myself to the likes of you or anyone else. I will never be controlled. I will never be controlled. I will never be controlled. Miku's power started to go into flux. With no choice, Shido would use his speed to break free of everyone's hold, as Miku would use the spirits that she had under her control to chase after Shido, that being in the form of Yoshino, Kaguya, and Yuzuru, the three spirits combining their efforts to attack him. Thankfully, the one girl that wasn't under control was Toka, and that's because, for her to sing, she kept in her communication earpieces. Really helped her out, but because of that, she could hardly hear what anyone else was saying. Well, for Shido, that was a relief. Shido would quickly change out of the maid getup into his flash suit, and now Miku could see that she were dealing with that pesky speedster from before. They were one and the same. Although, in the end, perhaps she shouldn't be too surprised. After all, those who were always trying to get to her for her power always used tricky and underhanded tactics. And for Shido, the situation only went from bad to worse, as multiple Bandersnatch led by Jessica Bailey and the DEM would arrive soon after. There was more than enough to keep Shido and Toka occupied. Between fighting two forces on both sides, Shido was getting the worst of it. Even with his speed, dealing with the likes of Bandersnatch machinery and dealing with spirits that were out to attack you, well, the battle was a lot easier said than done. Even more so, Miku's voice had effect even on those far away, as a few members of Ratasker were even under her charm, including Kotori, who said some unsavory things to her brother in the heat of the moment. For now, the only thing Shido could focus on was trying to protect everyone and get away. But still, between fighting his friends and trying to protect the others, he was just being spread thin. Dr. Wells would get into the communications telling for Shido to retreat, and it only made matters worse when Toka got captured. Shido wanted to go after her. He wanted to save her, but he couldn't get the opening. Between Yoshino, Kaguya, and Yuzuru and Miku attacking him, between the Bandersnatch also trying to bring him in, between Ellen, who was already making a hasty retreat with Toka, Shido just didn't have a way to fight all of this on his own. The doctor would tell Shido to get out of there, that the only thing he could do was retreat, all against Shido's better judgment. Shido didn't want to leave his friends behind. He didn't want to leave Toka. He had to stay and fight. He had to do something. But the doctor was adamant. You're in no condition to take all of them on right now, Shido. Not by yourself. If you just run around without a plan, You're not going to get anywhere, and you're only going to get yourself caught. And for better or for worse, we can't afford to lose you, Shido. I can't afford to lose them. I can't just leave them here. Unfortunately for Shido, he wasn't given much of a choice. Eventually, the whole city was seemingly under Miku's control. DEM, who had moved to the Japanese branch of their bases, were locked down like Fortnite. In the end, Shido didn't have the manpower to just punch through this situation. Shido eventually found himself running to the outskirts of the city. Thankfully, there were some construction areas that no one ever went to. Shido hid in one of the abandoned buildings. While the doctor had cut off communications in the meantime, trying to get those who had been possessed by Miku and Ratasker under control and try to regain stability in Fraxinus, Shido simply collapsed on the ground. The drain that this was taking on him mentally was a lot more than one could take. It just felt like he was being attacked on all sides. Sure, Shido had the speed, but sometimes his mind just didn't quite work with his power. He could save one person, but that left someone else wide open. He just couldn't be everywhere at once. Damn it! If you could just be everywhere at once. That's what you're thinking, right? Shido knew that voice. He turned to see where it came from in the shadows. And out walked a girl. Black hair, 2 twin tails, dressed in red. 1 crimson eye and 1 golden one, like that of a clock. My. Is my little Shido tuckered out? You've been running around like a madman all day. Why don't you come here and rest on Mama's lap? I promise I won't bite. Kurumi. Aw, you remember my name. I'm so touched. What are you doing here? Are you under control also? I'm so pleased that you're concerned about me. But Shido, please have a little more faith. I wouldn't go down so easily like your friends. I'm not like most girls. Yeah, you can say that. But still, what are you doing here? Don't you know? You're my precious Shido. I couldn't bear to watch you struggle in vain all on your own. Kurumi would disappear and reappear right behind him, quicker than even Shido could react, as she wrapped her arms around his body, caressing his face while kissing his cheek. Hey now. No need to be scared, Shido. It's all alright. I promise. All I want to do is help you. All you want to do is help yourself. Who's to say that we both don't have similar interests? After all, you need all the help you can get. And even if you are the fastest man alive, even the world's fastest man can't do everything on his own. You have a point. But still, how can you trust me? Well, Shido, it's not like you have a lot of options right now. I mean, after all, you said so yourself. You can't be everywhere at once. Now can you? You're right. I can't be everywhere at once. But still, what's in it for you? You don't do anything out of the kindness of your heart. You have a point there. But I can make exceptions for people who I have an interest in. And you actually have an interest in me. Don't act like you don't have an interest in me. You try to play hard to get, but I see it. The look in your eyes. You can't stop staring at me. You want me to lift up my dress? Give you something really worth staring at. Come on, now's not the time for something like that. Oh? So you're saying there is a time? There's a time and a place for everything. What? No, that doesn't mean I want to. You really shouldn't try to lie to me, Shido. You're not very good at it. But still, yes, I do have my own reasons for helping you. And maybe I'll tell you about them. Maybe I won't. That's for me to decide. But right now, you need my help. And I promise I won't kill your friends or anything like that. You won't be killing anyone, Kurumi. Understand? You're no fun. Such a party pooper. But still, I like it when a man takes charge. You really want me to not kill? You gonna put me in my place, big boy? Kurumi, seriously. Fine. Let's go. Sheesh, I was only playing with you. With that, the two unlikeliest of duos would make their way to counter-strike against Miku and against DEM. Safe to say, it was going to be a long night. Before long, they would eventually arrive to Miku's home. She wasn't there, of course, which is exactly what they needed. Making their way inside, they would go to Miku's room, where Kurumi would use her abilities, finding something that was hidden away, a photo in a DVD. Using the power of Zafkiel, Kurumi would be able to unravel the truth of memories hidden away by Miku. Memories that she would gladly transfer to Shido. Of course, Shido didn't like getting shot. It wasn't like it hurt, it was still just kind of jarring. But still, he had the information that he needed. That's one nifty ability. Well, when you've had it for as long as I have, you learn to get crafty with it. But still, even if I know all of this, what difference is it? It'll make all the difference, Shido. You're trying to win the girl's heart. In order to do so, you must be able to wade through the lies and deceit that she lays before you. That girl puts up boundaries, walls that are hard to penetrate. And up until now, you've just been running at that wall blindly. But tell me, do you truly want to save this girl? Of course I do. And you'll do whatever it takes, without fail. Good boy. That's why I love you so much. Shido didn't know how to feel about that last comment, but all the same, now all that mattered was getting to Miku. Before long, they would get their wish, although it would be a lot easier said than done. Because you see, Miku was held up at the school. And so, what did Kurumi and Shido do? Well, they went to the school, wading through a horde of mind-controlled individuals before eventually getting to the inside where Miku was held up with the spirits, Shido's friends, being used as her personal guard. Kurumi would buy them enough time, creating a void of darkness, a barrier where only the two of them could speak. Once they were alone, it would give Shido enough time to try to speak reason with Miku. So, you've managed to corner me. What next? Are you going to beat me up? Pummel me down into the dirt? You think that will save your friends? I would never hit you, Miku. What do you think I am, some type of savage? You're a man, aren't you? You're the worst kind of savage. Miku, I know. You know what? The truth about yourself? About time, I know about your past. I know who you were before you became a spirit. What? I heard you. I heard your voice. Your first DVD? Who gave you permission? I kept that hidden away. Is this the power of that witch you've brought with you? I'll have to make her pay for that one. She's definitely a cutie. I'll enjoy breaking her next. Miku, you can't control what everyone thinks. That's not how the world works. That's how my world works, Shido. You don't seem to understand. This world, everyone in it, they're all selfish and cruel. They only want their own selfish desires and wishes. In the end, I guess I'm no different. And all the same, unlike everyone else, I actually have the power to make my desires a reality. Why? By forcing everyone to like you? By forcing everyone to just kowtow to everything you wish and desire? Even if it's not the real you? No one would like the real me. No one would care about the real me. This power that I have now, I can make anyone a fan. Anyone can desire me. Anyone can want me. I won't leave that up to chance. The chance that you'll get hurt. The chance that they won't accept you. You're scared. You're scared to let anyone in. You were scared back then, but you don't have to be anymore. Your power is a gift. You shouldn't abuse it like this. Use your own voice. I know it's good. I've listened to you. And I would listen to you over and over again. Even if no one else in the world ever wanted to hear you sing, I would still listen. You're just lying. You're lying to get what you want. Just like them. Just like everyone has. I had a brother. We lost our parents at a young age, and still, he provided for me. He protected me. When I learned I had a gift, my desire to sing, he said he helped me be a star. But after all of that, after everything, in the end, I had lost my voice. I couldn't hit the notes I once could for a while. I thought I'd never get a chance to ever again. And you know something? Just when I thought I lost it all, I thought I could keep going as long as I have my brother. And do you know what he did? He abandoned me. He left me because I couldn't provide him the lifestyle that he once lived. He hitched his wagon onto someone else over his own damn sister. So when I got my power, I would never again allow myself to be used. But I'll gladly use anyone else. You can't persuade me, Shido. I won't go back. I won't go back to what I used to be. Before Shido had a chance to rebuttal, the barrier would break way, and Kurumi and Shido would have no choice but to escape. It was pointless to try to fight with her now. Right now, they had an even bigger worry. That being DEM. They were held up in their own base, where they were holding Toka hostage. Thankfully, Kurumi had figured out their location, and now that's where they were going to go. Of course, Shido had hoped that if he could have convinced Miku to help him out, he could get his friends free. Then they'd have stronger numbers going into this fight. There were battalions of Bandersnatch flying high in the sky. And even with Shido and Kurumi working together, it might be too much even for the both of them. But thankfully, help comes in the most unlikeliest of circumstances. Like, say, a long-lost sister. Mana. Shido hadn't seen her in so long, he thought she was still in the hospital. The girl, the self-proclaimed weapon of DEM, now deciding to turncoat, was looking to help her brother in his hour of need. although the idea of working with Kurumi, long sworn enemy, that didn't quite sit well with her. Kurumi was more than eager to make amends with her old rival. Shido would have to get the two girls to play nice, because right now, it was just the three of them. The three of them up against the forces of DEM. With the sound of the alarms blaring, and with the soldiers getting into position, Shido, Mana, and Kurumi would stand together. The unlikeliest of trios, although in the most dire of circumstances, they had no choice but to unite. Thankfully, those at Ratasker had finally gotten a hold of their senses, and Kotori was back online, with Fraxinus high in the air, ready to assist. With the aid at Shido's disposal, they would press forward in their advance. As the assault on DEM would begin, Shido would be the first one to race forward, with only one goal in mind: to rescue Toka, to rescue his friends, and bring everyone back home by any means necessary. This concludes Day Alive Flash in Time. What If Shido Was the Flash, Season 1, Part 3. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue with What If Shido Was the Flash, Season 2, Part 4. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.